Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Coffee with Convery, where we caffeinate your curiosity with bold stories, actionable insights, and fresh takes on how we define and design success. Today's guest, Aidan Brannigan, is not your typical founder, not your typical marketeer, and definitely not your typical career story. He is the creative force behind No Boring Brands, the agency making memes and skits for some of the biggest B2B brands in the world, generating over 1 million organic views a day. Aidan has built a career that mixes comedy, content, and a little bit of chaos. He's spoken at the SXSW about memes, helped grow the Marketing Millennials to $1 million plus followers, run campaigns for brands like Palo Alto Networks, ClickUp, Semrush, and even Gillette. And somewhere along the way, he lost 500K in crypto, lost a spam eating contest to Joey Chestnut in front of 14,000 people, and got doxxed for launching a fake software called LayoffBot that actually turned into a lead magnet. But here's the kicker. Aidan's story is one of making your own lane. He's proof that you don't have to wait for the perfect job posting, perfect timing, or the perfect title to make a name for yourself. Whether you're a student, a new grad, or just a job seeker wondering how to stand out, this episode is packed with lessons on creativity, resilience, and building a career that doesn't just pay the bills, but gets those people talking. Aidan, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. That was a great intro. I'm excited to talk, Brian.
Awesome,
Listen,
awesome. Well, you have a great interview because you have a great story. Great story
it's
to
fun.
tell. Yeah, thank you so much. I'm so excited to talk. So let's do some rapid fire questions first, and then we'll get into your stories. So, what do you consider your superpower?
My superpower is definitely like it's so stupid saying this out loud because it always comes off counterintuitive, but it's like my wit and my humor
Yeah,
and ability to think quickly on my feet. That's definitely my
that's
superpower.
not stupid. That's awesome. What gets you a long way? I think.
Dude, it's usually though, like when you tell someone you're funny, they're like, okay, make me laugh. And it's like, dude, it doesn't work like,
Oh, yeah. Then you're on the spot. You're not a stand-up comic. Well,
yeah,
you could
no,
be.
definitely not. Definitely not. Not.
Okay. And talking about school and thinking about some of the audience here that might be attending school and thinking about things, I'm always curious about my guests. What was your favorite subject in school?
I loved math.
Ah,
So in high school specifically, like I took Calc AB, Calc BC, took the AP tests for both. Like
wow.
I love numbers. And a lot of that was derived from the fact that I loved sports and I loved keeping up like with statistics on my favorite players and try to rationalize why my favorite player was the best and why LeBron James is the greatest of all time and why Lamar Jackson's better than Josh Allen and all these little things that I still carry with me, as you can tell. But it was mainly math. I
Interesting.
didn't like English. I didn't like writing, but it's ironically that is what like, and we talk about this later. Like I do a lot of writing now,
Yeah.
and that's a main part of my career.
It's interesting because math and all that stuff, transferable skills and transferring it to this sports and why you followed them and what you thought. I mean, all that stuff is transferable. That's pretty cool. We all start somewhere. I know I started scrubbing pots. What was your first job?
First job, I worked at a retirement home called Broadmead in Hunt Valley, Maryland. Um, and I worked in the deli and I made sandwiches for like like elderly people.
Yeah.
It was like liverwurst sandwiches was the hot one. Rye bread, everyone loved rye bread. I did that for $12.25 an hour, and it
There
was
you go.
awesome.
There you go. Feeding the elderly. That's awesome.
Yeah,
Um, if you had to pick one word to describe yourself, what would it be? Yes.
reliable.
Reliable? I love that. That's an
Yeah,
awesome word.
like reliable when it comes to like the emotional sense, the professional sense. Like
It's great.
I show up consistently for myself. I show up consistently for others. That's what I would say for sure.
That's amazing, Aidan. I love that. Okay, so let's jump into your this whole intro career here. I just got me ready to on my edge to ask you all these things. So first thing, your agency has gone from 0 to 1 million plus daily views in less than 2 years, powered by memes and skits in B2B world. How did this whole idea start?
Yeah. The whole idea started by like a series of just like kind of stumbling into it, a mix of trying a bunch of different jobs throughout college and then reading a bunch of different books and kind of pairing the two together and realizing, oh, this is what I need to be doing if I want to maximize my ability to provide value to the people I'm employed by and the people I work with.
Hmm.
So when I was a freshman in college is when COVID hit and I started working at startups and I was 18. They see an 18-year-old, they're like, you're young, run our social media. So I started running social media accounts, started making some memes. And then, but I was still in the mode of I want to try so many different things to see just as much as what I like. I also want to learn what I don't like to do.
Great.
Um,
Yeah.
because going into college, I was not a person where I was like, I'm going to do this for my career. It's like I went into college thinking, all right, I know I like speaking with people. My dad's a salesman. Like that stuff comes naturally to me, but is that what I want to do? There was no sales degree at the University of Maryland, so I chose marketing. Um, but working at those different places, I started to see, okay, I love making content. And every step along the way, regardless if it was like a typical corporate internship or working at a startup, it all involved creating content.
Hmm.
And then I was reading books on the side, like self-help books. Naval Ravikant is a big philosopher that I follow, and he talks about pursuing what comes naturally to you, not necessarily your passion. Um,
Interesting.
and so I paired that with these different content roles and worked at the Marketing Millennials for over 2 years and built an audience of over 1 million via memes. And while I was there, I was like, wait, I think I can do this as a service at scale. So let me try to see if I can do that. And so then I left the Marketing Millennials and launched No Boring Brands.
That is fascinating. So I want to ask you a question about University of Maryland. Because some of our listeners are right now touring schools thinking where they're going to go next year. How did you land on University of Maryland? Did you look up multiple schools? Did you like, because I'm curious, because I always get asked that question, like, how do you know, what if I picked the wrong university or college or wrong program? Thoughts around that, like just sharing with the audience?
Yeah, my experience was definitely unique. Like I grew up in Maryland,
Okay.
and uh, the University of Maryland is a school that like I watched their sports growing up. My grandparents went there. My parents didn't go there, but my grandparents went there. It's a really good school,
Yep.
but it's like an attainable school. It's not like a Harvard. It's not like a Columbia. It did get put on the list of 2024's top 15 public Ivies. So it's like
Nice.
in that upper echelon, but
Yeah.
people don't necessarily think of it like that.
Yep.
And I saw it's in this pocket of the United States, which is very advantageous, which is you have two tier one cities. And like by tier one, like I see there's four tier one cities in the United States. And what I mean by that for like students is these are where the best of certain industries operate. So it's New York for finance,
Yep.
DC for politics, LA for media, San Francisco for tech. And so University of Maryland is 2.5 miles outside of Washington, D.C.
Yep.
Very close there. It's a 3 hour drive to New York City. And I was like, this is a good spot. There's going to be employers everywhere. And it's close to family. And so it was just kind of that blend where like, I didn't even
Yeah.
necessarily think I was like, I'm going to Maryland. I know I can get in. I applied to a few other schools. I applied to University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, got rejected. Villanova was on my list. I got in there, but I didn't go there. But it was like from day one, it was like I want to go to Maryland. I want to be a Terp. And they're known for having this odd pocket of entrepreneurship for a
That's
university.
awesome.
So
Yeah.
that was another like attractor.
Great advice and insights there to share. Thank you so much. And I get it.
Yeah,
Like it makes sense. And I always think being close to family is important too. So
yeah,
I agree.
100%.
Um, sorry, I shifted a bit, but back to the idea of how this whole meme thing works in B2B. Why do you think humor works so well in these spaces that are usually, well, sometimes boring?
Yeah. So one of the reasons why it goes works really well is it's an incredible differentiator. And like as marketers, our mindsets are like how do we make people who don't give a crap about our product or service give a crap about our product or
Right.
service? And one of the ways to do that is through differentiation. Um, and so it's great for that. But also humor is a phenomenal way to sell and connect with people without them realizing like you're trying to sell to them. So one thing in B2B, which they're known for, is everything is sales focused. Like, here's a new feature, here, try this, try that, try that. Like, boom, we got this for you. So it's kind of this backdoor approach where it's like, we're not going to talk about features, we're going to talk about pain points, and sell to your audience without them realizing it. And they're going to be way more receptive to your message. So those are like the two main things.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Yeah, they don't that whole selling your product idea and everything doesn't they want to see what you're doing for them, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
good point.
Yeah.
So you didn't exactly follow the straight line corporate ladder or whatever career path, whatever we want to talk about, from creating the biggest marketing meme on IG to getting, I guess, fired at overtime for founding your own agency. You built a career on experimentation, right? Uh, what would be the biggest or first thing you would tell a student or job seeker who's afraid of making a wrong?
A wrong move.
Yeah.
This is like, this might be dumb, but I legitimately don't think there's anything that you can label as a wrong move unless it's like an illegal move. So like
Good point.
obviously don't do anything illegal. But I don't think there are wrong moves as long as whenever you get punched in the mouth, not literally, but whenever you get punched in the mouth, take that lesson and make sure it doesn't happen again.
Hmm.
And that way you can ensure that time you spent on whatever venture that maybe didn't pan out exactly the way you wanted it to wasn't a waste of time. And instead you added it to your toolkit. Hence why I still talk about losing money in crypto is because it's absolutely just guided my whole perception of money. And like I keep it at the forefront. And then also like junior year of college, like out straight up, I was going through a pretty depressive like period of time.
Yep.
And that's one of the periods of times I'm most grateful for because it entirely shaped who I am today as a man.
Yep.
Um, and like, yeah, I don't think people should be making fear-based decisions, but they should be making freedom-based decisions.
Love that.
So
Yeah.
I don't think there are wrong moves.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I think we need to shift that narrative because life is full of lived experiences. And to your point earlier, where you even said, well, I tried things, didn't like it, whatever. Like that's what life's about, right?
Yeah.
And then you lean into what you're good at,
Yep.
right? So
100%.
real good advice. Um, so you've been open about this losing money and even turning a fake product into a real win. How do you stay creative and not burn out? I mean, this world is tough to make things go viral, right? So I'm just curious, how do you
Yeah.
keep that energy up and keep that creative like going?
So when it comes to our clients, it's different. Like we have systems, so and we have teams, and that ensures that we don't reach any creative burnout, or at least if we do, there's ways to mitigate that.
Yep,
When it comes to like my personal content, the way that I have avoided creative burnout is by only creating content I want to create content. The only creating content that I want to create.
yep.
So it's counterintuitive, but I just had a call this morning with a guy I know, Elliot Bull, and he's like, "Hey man, I want to build this media company, and like I kind of want to start creating content myself. Like, do you have any tips?" And I'm like, "This sounds weird. You need to make yourself the priority. Create content that you enjoy creating, because the most important aspect of success on social media, um, and in this case, I'm defining success as growth on social media,
Yeah, yeah.
is consistency." And so to be consistent, you need to be creating content that fills your bucket up and you don't dread making. So when I create content on LinkedIn, like if you look at my LinkedIn feed, I've had people message me this before and they're like, I don't see your strategy on at all in LinkedIn. Like literally every post is like absolutely off the walls everywhere. And I'm like, that is my strategy.
There you go.
I just shoot off the hip and I'm creating content for myself first. That like when I post it, I'm like, this is good. Like I like it.
Yeah, yeah. No, I love this. I want to dig a little bit more into this, if you don't mind, because I I think that, and I want to ask you this question because I've seen the struggle in corporate America, I'll call it, where years ago people, worked for an organization. The brand was the organization. There was no LinkedIn. There was no this. There was no Instagram at the time. So there wasn't that platform for your entrepreneurial spirited people at your office to do this. And now there is, right? Now these people that have followers or they're influencers, or they have something to say on LinkedIn, they are in fact a brand. In my humble opinion, the employers that get those people are lucky because they can also talk about their stuff, right? But in some cases, it can also be seen as like a threat to saying too much from an individual. And what if Aiden leaves the company and then now we don't have him? Have you gotten in that conversation with some of your clients? Because it's something that I see is like it's teetering right now, and
Yeah.
I think the companies that get it are saying go for it because you're our ambassador of our brand and you are an ambassador of yourself. Like we hire good
Yeah.
people, whatever. Excuse me, water.
So yeah, so we all of our clients, we create content for their brand accounts. So when we have this discussion, it's usually with them, they're like our competitors are not other agencies that make memes or skits. Like there are no such thing really. Our
Yep.
competitors are them trying to decide where to allocate budget and should they allocate budget to us or hiring a in-house creator or investing in personal brands and hiring ghostwriters to write for their team. And so usually we have this conversation, and it's like, here's why you should choose us versus them. And the way we describe it is like, all right, if you're spending $10,000 per month on an agency to write content for your executive team, just as a marketer and like a financial ROI standpoint, it is more risky
Hmm.
doing that because you could spend 10K a month over a year, and let's say Jeff, your CFO, builds this huge audience, and then he leaves and goes to your competitor. Like there's risk there for
Yep,
sure.
for sure.
Um, versus us, we make content for your brand account, it's never going to leave. But from the flip side, if I'm a brand and you're not paying an agency to write for your employees, any way possible to get your employees to talk about your business or just create content is a win.
Yep.
Um, so where I like kind of take like a more middling stance of like, oh, I don't know if it's the right move or not, is when they're investing and paying like an agency to write and like build the personal brand. But employee advocacy, just like naturally, I think is phenomenal.
Yep. I
Um,
do too.
and like I think it is fair for brands to be wary
Yeah.
because they know like who like let's say your employee Kelly has, you know, 4 glasses of wine on a Friday and decides to say something crazy on the internet. Like that does come back on you if she has an audience. And so
Yep.
they're right to be wary about that, but that's why you hire good people first.
You're right. Big decision up there. Yeah, like that's the right thing to do. Um, Everyone talks about going viral. I want to ask your opinion on that because I don't know if it has like I think it's positive, but I bet there's people that don't think it's positive. But what's your thought about is there a misconception around going viral and all that stuff?
There definitely is. So, uh, like if you ask a person on the street, like, what does going viral mean? They might be like, oh, 1 million views. Like 1 million views is
Right.
viral. When we work with the brands we work with are in such niche markets that like like literally we work with a brand that there might only be 50,000 potential buyers in the whole world
Right.
for their product. And so to have a piece of content do 1 million views is like not going to happen for them. So viral in their instance is if we have a post that does 10,000 views and it reaches literally 20% of that entire addressable market, that is incredibly viral. Versus Duolingo posting on Twitter and they're getting 27 million views. That's viral for sure, but they also have 3 billion potential buyers. Um, so that's how we kind of frame it for our clients. And then
Makes sense.
one one caveat too, like marketers are like, well, with paid, we can ensure that people seeing our content are our ICP. And with organic, we cannot ensure that the people viewing it are customers, like potential customers. And so the way we make sure that when we create content for our clients, that the right people are seeing it is making the messaging niche as crap. So that like if you saw it, Brian, and let's say it had something to do like what is one of your like niche expertises you would say? Would it be like recruiting?
Yeah, like student hiring, recruiting. Yeah.
Yeah, student hiring. And like if you sent that to your friend who's like a chief financial officer on Wall Street, like and you sent it to him, he'd be like, I don't understand this joke. Because we're not trying to target him with that messaging. So that's one way we ensure like, hey, when this content goes viral, it's being seen by the right people and not 14-year-old Fortnite gods.
That's a great answer. I totally get what you're saying. Thank you. That's awesome. And then what are your like, do you have like, if you could share, I don't know if it's three ingredients, but what should every piece of shareable content have? Is there any like, not a rule book, of course, but maybe there's some.
Of shareable content. Um,
Yeah, do you like recommend or like in your strategy, like is there certain types of must-haves when you're gonna share something?
Yeah, when we're creating like the content for our clients, a must-have is it has to be centered around a pain point. So
Okay.
it's something that their ideal customer is feeling in their day-to-day life without our client's product or service in their life. That's like number one. And then like our attention spans are so short. And I don't necessarily think that means the content needs to be quick and like not long. I just think it needs to be clearly understood in a straight line so that someone can read it once and get the gist and not have to reread something or rewatch something. So the content has to move steadily in a straight line to get it to really be shared, where it's like within 3 seconds they can get the concept and then they can keep watching and they understand how to consume the content.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah. Especially with attention span, like you got to get it off the bat. Yeah, makes sense. So a lot of my listeners are emerging talent, high school, college, university, first job, post grad. Uh, so they're kind of in that spot of just starting their careers, and they may not have a network or a portfolio or even a huge platform to work on. What's one practical way that emerging talent, young people getting started, can get noticed, especially in industries like marketing, content, or tech?
Yeah, to get noticed. So like literally, I mean, I can only speak from my
Yeah.
experience. I was in that exact scenario. I remember sitting in my dorm junior year of college and knowing friends who got internships at Microsoft, Google, Capital One, and meanwhile, I'm sitting here like my last internship was at a vegan superfood bar that was a startup that went out of business and like no one knows who they are. Um, but at least you could eat the wrapper of the bar. Like it was nothing, right?
Right.
So I remember sitting there and I'm like, all right, I go to a public university. My GPA is not stellar, but I know I am a highly capable and special individual. I cannot communicate that via written word on a resume. Like mine's just gonna blend through. It's gonna be one of the resumes. So what I did
Mhm.
was sit and think, how can I stand out? What are my unique skill sets that I can lean on, and how do I convey them, and where do I convey them? And so that's when I decided I'm gonna start creating content on LinkedIn. And so what I did was like the post that went super viral for me was I went and saw the new Spider-Man movie with Tom Holland and I walked out of the movie and one thing that like I'm sure a lot of your listeners are aware of
Yeah.
like when people their age get internships, they'll do a post like I'm proud to announce I got this internship at this company. Thank you this person, this person, this person for the help along the way. I'm excited to crush like whatever and then they post a picture of the
Yeah.
logo of the company. I was like, huh, all right. I just watched the new Spider-Man, Stark Industries. I'm gonna post, hey, thank you, Tony Stark. Like, I'm proud to announce I got this new internship at Stark Industries. Like, thank you, Tony Stark, for the help. I'm super excited to crush. And then at the bottom, I'm like, P.S. I'm actually looking for a marketing internship, and I like DM me if you want to talk or whatever. It
No
went
way.
crazy viral, insanely viral, like 1.5 million views. And I literally had 75 inbound internship opportunities. Um, two of them were two people trying to offer me internships that I didn't take the internships, but now they're two of my really good friends,
Yeah.
Johnny Brad and Jeffrey Arthur. And I literally just talked to Johnny yesterday and I talked to Jeff on Saturday. And we're in touch. We're business part, like
I
we're always
love
sending
this
each other deals.
story. That's
And
crazy.
then I had interviews with Meta. So I had a I interviewed for an internship with Meta, their marketing internship, Disney, and then Overtime, which is a sports media company, which like me being a sports fan, and that was like huge for me.
Yeah.
So I interviewed with all three. Meta was like, "This guy's a dummy. Like, we're not hiring you." Disney never got back to me, and then I took the Overtime internship. So all that to say,
It's incredible.
find a way to highlight your unique skill set so that it
Yep.
becomes a no-brainer for these companies to hire you. Um, so whether that's getting a little clever in your actual resume or creating content online or showing up at the front door of the company you want an internship at, just doing something bold. Um, that's what I would recommend. Um,
This is a killer example because this, even the way you use LinkedIn, right? Because a lot of people go through what they might think is the professional steps to think to get noticed and send you an in message or, attach their resume with that or apply, but never try anything beyond the application. And this is my advice all the time to a lot of our listeners too. Is like you got to get noticed. Like you
Yep.
have something unique. You can do things. Look, wit, like fun. You did something. Like, and
Mhm.
I love what you did. I'm gonna have to go look for that post because
Thanks. I can send it to you afterwards.
send it to me.
I have to dig in the archives to find it,
Yeah,
but
yeah. Because no, but
the
this is a great example. And look where like the conversation it took, right? Unbelievable. No, I love that story. Thank you. That is like one of the coolest stories I've ever heard.
nice.
Uh,
Let's go.
yeah, yeah. Um, okay, so another question I had worked with Fortune 500 companies, SaaS unicorns, legacy brands. What do you think, again, maybe these early career pros students should know about content marketing and where careers are heading? Any thoughts or insights where you're seeing what's happening?
Um,
Like, is there still a place for students in that world? I know AI is
yeah,
scaring everyone,
totally.
whatever. Yeah,
No, there's totally place for students in this world. Um, so you'd have to identify like just straight up like a role in content right out of college is not going to pay you a lot.
yeah,
So if you're, I don't know what your listeners' objectives are out of college, but
that's fair.
um, like if they're solely on money and trying to make money as quickly as possible, like you got like finance is still probably your best route or software engineering,
Yeah,
and you can probably get a cool $150,000 a year salary, and like that's great. Enjoy the 85-hour work weeks. Um,
I'm glad you plugged that.
but content roles out of college at bigger companies will not be the type of content that you think when you think content. It'd be very stale, slow, probably very mentally draining, and you might be getting paid 55, $60,000 a year. Um, but there are a bunch of fast moving tech startups that really see the value in growth hacking social media. And if you can show, like, the best way to show you know how to create great content is having an audience yourself, having proof of work of viral content. So, and you can definitely get compensated higher at these smaller companies, actually. So if you're looking to get a role in like content marketing, I would skew towards like looking at startups. And it doesn't need to be like a startup with two people, like a company like Apollo. They have 1,500 employees and they do 100 million ARR. You're way, or that's 150 million, 100 million in revenue a year for the listeners, but like that's a big company,
Hmm.
but they're still a startup. You could probably get a nice maybe like 80 to $90,000 a year salary creating content for a brand like that.
Good thoughts. Great insights. Thank you for sharing that.
Mhm.
Um, well, I can't believe we're getting to the end of this conversation because it's so enlightening, insightful, fun, as I knew it would be.
Yeah, let's go.
If you could tell our listeners, maybe thinking about these job seeker students, people pivoting in their career, I maybe want to lean in a little bit into emerging entrepreneurs because there's so many out there that really they really have a good idea. They really want to do this. They don't want to be stuck in a big corporate organization. They want to go do their thing. Is there any sort of insights you could share? Let's lean into the entrepreneur. Like, what
Yeah.
should they be doing? Because, if they end up someplace, again, I don't think there's ever a bad experience. I mean, there are bad experiences. I don't think there's ever an experience that you don't reflect on and figure out it's not for you. But what would you say as far as to emerging entrepreneurs, like any insights or thoughts to share with them?
Yeah, I mean, I would first just say don't cast off the W-2 job too quickly.
Yeah,
Like it's been overhated for sure for the last like 5 years. Like the W-2 like full-time role, corporate role is definitely slightly overhated now. Um, what like I mean, 80% of NVIDIA employees are millionaires. 50% have a net worth of over 10 million. So if you're with a really good company, you can make M's. That's a
yeah,
ton of money over time. But what I would look at the W-2 job as use it as leverage. You're buying yourself time, you're building up cash behind your butt to give yourself more leverage to make riskier decisions, whether that mean leave the job to then start a business. Um, but what I would be focusing on if you're an emerging entrepreneur, like, is just try to build the skill up of making money. That
yeah,
is like the single, like, no one talks about it. Like, yes, have a great product, service, cool, whatever. No, it's like prioritize, like, how can you make money legally? Like, how can you get
yeah,
people to give you US currency or Canadian dollars to do something for them?
yeah,
And what I did was like for literally 6 months, just ask people like, hey, like, what can I help you do? Like, at one point I was working with like four different companies and I was like a fractional marketing manager. I was a content writer. I was writing post captions and then I was making memes. It was like all these different things. I was just trying to build the skill
yeah,
up of managing relationships with people where people are paying me something to do something and I'm trying to over deliver for them.
yeah,
So that's like the skill set I would be focused on like as an emerging entrepreneur. It's like, great, you have this amazing business idea, like it doesn't matter unless you're bringing money in the door. And another thing, I know I'm rambling, but I'm like very passionate about this because I have a lot of people in my network who are trying to start a gig, start a
yeah,
business. You do not need a fully fleshed out business idea to go to start. You just need to start. So that's not me saying like quit your full-time job and then just start. What I'd recommend is keep the full-time job, absolutely crushing the full-time job, and see what you can learn and broaden your skill set at the full-time job. And then when you get home from work, grind. See what you can make money on the side with. And
yeah.
then once that side hustle starts to become a main hustle, let go. Don't burn any bridges at your full-time job, but just tell them I'm pursuing this now. Thank you for everything you've given me. You've helped me move to the next step of my career.
Amazing advice. So what if our listeners want to find you? I mean, even B2B, anybody, like where do you
Yeah.
find Aidan?
Yeah, LinkedIn is going to be the best spot. Just
Okay.
Aidan Brannigan.
Yeah.
Like shoot me a DM and my website is linked on there. But also like I have I have two younger sisters. One is still in college and she just got her first internship and like it makes me so excited. And I'm not trying to be like I'm trying my best to not be like that big bro that like I'm
I love that.
if she came to me and is like can you help me get an internship? I would be so fired up. I would just pull so many connections for her to get her a great internship, but I'm trying to just let her figure it out
Yeah.
herself because I know that's what I would have wanted when I was if I had older siblings, because I think that's very important.
Yeah.
But so I know like the current state of probably most of your listeners, like high
Oh, it's
school, college,
tough.
post grad, it's tough and yeah, like if you become a consistent individual at least from my experience, consistently show up in all facets of your life, you become incredibly employable.
100%. I love the word consistency. It's a really good one. Well, man, this brings us to the end of our episode today. And Aidan, thank you for proving that you can mix memes, marketing, mischief, and still make millions of people pay attention. Your journey is definitely a reminder that careers aren't built by just playing it safe. They're building by showing up, standing up, and also having a little fun along the way. I thank you so much for being a part of
Yeah.
this.
This was a blast. Thank you for having me.
Awesome, awesome. So to our listeners, this episode made you laugh, think, or rethink your approach to work. Share it with your friends. Subscribe to coffeewithconvery.com on the podcast, or also follow us on Instagram where we share behind the scenes stories that still both stir your head and your heart. This is Coffee with Convery, where we remind you that success is not always about climbing the corporate ladder. Sometimes it's about building your own jungle gym.